Joining us. Welcome to How to Sell When No One Is Buying. My name is Elise Bortolato, and I am the program manager here at the Emerging Enterprise Center, which is a nonprofit business incubator, part of the Newcastle County Chamber of Commerce. Joining me today is Bob Buechner, who is our Director of Economic Development, and Kia Wyatt, who is our membership sales manager here at the Newcastle County Chamber of Commerce. And we've been doing these, virtual webinars or Facebook Live videos with one of our partners and chamber members, Brandywine Technology. So Greg Plum is joining us today, and he's been a great partner through putting out some great content to our members and the community during, just this moment in time that we're all kind of having to pivot and find new ways of doing business. So today, obviously, these are very uncertain times, and sales have been plummeting in many industries. And we're really trying to look for new ways to pivot to a virtual model. And that includes how do sales team pivot to a virtual model. So today we're just going to have a broad discussion about, what we can do to, serve our customers, retain and get new customers during this time. And kind of talk about some of the barriers that both Greg and Kia are seeing as part of sales team and how they're overcoming certain things. So again, this is just going to be a broad discussion, and we're hoping, we did have some trouble getting onto Facebook, and we're really hoping that that actually does go live, and we will have people joining us on Facebook soon to answer questions that you might have. But in the meantime, I just wanted to first kind of jump in and ask, well, again, here's Greg and Kia, who's joining us today. And I'm going to actually kind of turn it over to them, and we'll start asking questions. One second, let me stop sharing my screen. All right. Hey, guys, can you guys see me?
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Oh, there we go. All right. Hey, I think we are live. I think we're live on Facebook now. I think it actually worked. Did anyone else seeing this?
I see a red recording.
Let me see. I'm seeing it. Maybe not yet. Okay. Well, we're still waiting, I guess, for Facebook, but hopefully we will be able to be joined live on Facebook very shortly, and we'll have people answer or ask questions in real time. But in the meantime, let's kind of get the presentation started, and obviously we're recording, and we'll share this with our audience at a later time. But let's first just start with kind of I'll actually start with Greg. Again, Greg's with Brandywine Technology, and he's been working with us very closely on putting together some digital content pieces. So one of the most obvious things and challenges that we've faced for, I guess I'm assuming, sales teams is that there's no more face-to-face meetings, no more of that face-to-face connection. So how have you changed your approach for communicating with new and potential prospects?
Well, I mean, there's no denying it. Most salespeople are extroverts, and extroverts feed off of people. And right now we're at a point where the only interaction we have is with our computer screen. So it's a challenge. So what have I done first and foremost is really try to level set and adjust my own mindset and set some new goals we'll talk about later. Just adjust the way I go about my business to ensure you don't just, it's very easy to get lost because it is a new way of doing business. So it is a painful adjustment, but the tools that I've used, at this point, this right here, right? Zoom is a great tool. Zoom has become a verb. So congratulations to Zoom. It's joined the likes of Google. And then aside from that, what have I done differently? It's really setting up a process, a recipe to follow day to day to day. Since I can't meet with people face to face, it's a matter of sitting down, strapping in, and just put my head down and really just go, go, go. And it is quite exhausting. Don't get me wrong. It's not my favorite, but it's what we have to do right now. And what's happening is it gives us an opportunity to interact with people probably at a larger quantity because we are strapped in. We don't go to coffee meetings right now. We go to our computer, we go to our phone. As a result, you can make more contacts. And then, ultimately build that trust. So over time, when things return to some semblance of normalcy, you've invested in those relationships.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So Kia, going to you.
Sure.
I know you're with the chamber. Now that we're not doing face-to-face communication,
Right.
how are you, changing your approach? What are you finding in this new kind of form of communicating with current and potential prospects?
Right. Pretty much what exactly Greg was saying is that this is new. Virtual is new. Telephone conversations are new for many individuals. I came from an industry where you went to the client and you walked in and you talked to them and you made it past the gatekeeper at the reception desk or at the hospital check-in. But to Greg's point, you must plan your day and set up a regular routine. Many of us are home with our families, our children, and it may take some effort to find a space for you to work in your home that's quiet. But the main thing is to get into a routine, get everyone set, be in the same mode that you were when you were literally going out of the door first thing in the morning, and your day will run smoothly. You need to also make a conscious effort to say, who am I going to target today? Some may say they're vertical markets or they're targeted industries, but you want to set up a plan and then stay with it because you're going to possibly deal with your existing customers. You may also have to deal with those non-customers to help build your pipeline, but it's that non-customer that many times frightens most sales individuals because no one wants to be rejected. So you just have to sometimes just toughen it out to say, hey, I'm going to make those calls. I may have to do a little work the day prior by sending out some type of flyer or some type of announcement of a promotional offer or something, so that when you do call that customer for the first time, it's a lot warmer. So where they now can say, yes, I did receive the email, or no, can you resend it? So it gives you an opportunity to talk versus that proverbial click.
Wonderful. Greg, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I love the two-step approach. I'm always a fan. I prefer, I'm a big email guy, and for several reasons. I mean, I think email works because people can get back to me when it's convenient for them as opposed to disrupting their day. However, it's not necessarily it's not the one silver bullet for sure. So I think that stepped in approach, have the email, maybe even in the email say, hey, this is what we do. I'm going to be reaching out. So it might ring a bell. So it feels a little bit warmer. And then the key is do reach out. If you say I'm going to and you don't, well, you've just killed your credibility,
Exactly.
So there's no chance of developing trust at that point.
Yeah.
And then Kia, you brought up a really good point. You talked about a vertical or like a target market. Right now, you may be adjusting your target market. Look at your customers, look at your prospects, find out who is in a situation. So for me, Brandywine Technology, we're IT staffing. So I'm looking at those that are actually ramping up to meet customer need versus those that are scaling back. There's no sense. I mean, yes, I can connect with those that are scaling back, but we know that they don't need me right now. So I'm going to focus on those that actually need what I provide.
Exactly. Because if your client or your prospective customer is not open and conducting business, you're wasting your efforts. So if you're now looking at February the 8th, Friday, when the governor is allowing additional industries to open, this may be the time to focus on those who have that green light and begin to, and then others that may come around in June, put them on that June back burner. But the main thing also in all the efforts that you're doing, you must also track what you're doing. If you set a goal for yourself that I'm going to make 25, 50 calls a day, record it in your CRM, your contact relationship manager, so that you can follow up. Because just as Greg said, you want to make sure you follow up. It may not seem much, but if you set that expectation in your email and that went out, or in your telephone call that I'll call you back in 30 days, make sure you do that, because you never know. wow, you did call back. I like your energy. I like your spunk.
So actually, this actually goes on to a really good point. So I think you guys are both addressing how this moment is changing how you guys do business. I mean, obviously, not face to face. You have to go. You're changing your approach to being virtual, and how that can affect how you run your sales business. As your work changes, so does, and obviously you're looking at different industries that are are open or opening, and what they're doing, but all of your potential and current prospects, all of their business is changing. Everywhere. They're doing business differently. Their needs are different. So is there anything that either Brandywine Technology or you specifically, Greg, are doing as a salesperson and to address the changing needs of your current or potential customers?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And this is where, and this is an overused word at this point, much like Zoom, empathy. This is where empathy comes in. This is where you take the time to invest in really getting to know your customer. If you don't know them yet, here's an opportunity to get to know them, but authentically, not just, through as a matter of process. When you do that, you build that trust. And as you build that trust bank, if they're not ready to buy from you right now, you'll figure that out pretty quickly, right? But at least you've perhaps deepened that relationship. So, and then fed that trust bank. And then when the time is right, they come back to you. So there's the time. This is when you're investing right now. And it's dollar cost averaging, right? You keep throwing money at it, at the account. And when things are down, boy, you are making out, because you're getting all these, you're increasing your share of accounts. And then when the market turns, you are golden because you've invested at that time when things were down. So if you stop right now, you're not going to take advantage of that upswing.
Exactly. And to Greg's point, he called it dollar cost averaging. I look at an older term than that. If you throw enough spaghetti on the wall, eventually something. So this is the time now to try to put as much spaghetti on the wall. And what do I mean by that? You may not get a customer right now, don't look for that transaction, but if you can be of value, a resource to your customer, this may be the time now that you're educating your customers. I'm not doing staffing services like Greg is doing. I do membership sales. At this time, many of my customers are trying to hold as much money as close to the chest as possible because of the unknown. So part of that empathy that Greg talked about is understanding it and just taking the time and talking with them. Those first couple of weeks in March, it was just more of, hey, how are you doing? And it was really allowing that customer, that business owner who was probably knee deep in trying to figure out how to get orders out of the door if they were doing curbside pickup, and just talking with them like, wow, we're overwhelmed. And so getting back to the spaghetti, I've got prospects. They're not members. Some of them may have been in the past and maybe have dropped, or they would have never been members. Maybe they attended a function. But by taking that time and setting up a systematic approach that I'm going to touch them with some spaghetti every 2 weeks with something that's relevant, I now have created the perception that I bring value because I've given them pertinent information. I brought them relevant information, whether if it was in regards to PPP, whether if it was in regards to some of the recent legislative changes. And many of them, they're like, wow, this is what you're doing for your memberships? I'm like, yes. And if we're doing this for our members, just think how it can help you when you're a member. If I'm sharing this information every 2 weeks, something different to enlighten and then educate you, and you're not even a member. So again, they may not be buying now, but eventually that spaghetti is going to stick on the wall and they'll become that customer sometime in the future.
And so to actually go to your point, I know that, during a downturn market, they always say kind of really, taking your investment dollars, you should be putting it into your marketing, and this is not the time to not be investing. And that also goes to some of the things that we at the Chamber have been doing. I know, Kia, you've been a part of it, is we've really pivoted, and it's not just about sales, but again, it does go to show our value to our members, is we've really started using our current virtual channels to help promote our members, share their stories, share their impact.
Right.
And I know you've been a big part of that.
Well, initially on, no one wanted to talk to me about selling. So I got those clicks. They were polite about it, but the conversation was the click. So I pivot over into a retention mode, working with our retention team to help them to cultivate that effort. It freed them up on some of their responsibilities to focus in on other parts of the membership, and maintaining that, and conducting many of the virtual networking functions, lunches, breakfast appointments, et cetera. And then I handle the retention aspects of that. What we were able to do as a chamber, we were able to feature our businesses, our restaurants in particular. What are you doing? How can we help you? So many of them had curbside offerings for meals. They were offering discount incentives. So we were then able to take their advertisements and we reposted it on our social media and cascaded it out to the masses so people could get to them. And we focused and featured each different industry on a weekly basis. We did it with restaurants. We did it with our nonprofits. What type of public service announcements are you having? I was quite amazed, and I didn't think about it, when the American Lung Association responded saying that, hey, did you know that individuals who are COPD sufferers, asthmatic sufferers, they are more prone to contracting this virus? I said, wow. So with that, we were able to repost it, what our blood bank was doing, how they were going to virtual appointments, those public service announcements, and then some of our other industries. So we pivoted and went to a retention mode to enlighten the general public. And guess what? We picked up other followers who were non-members week by week because of the activities we were doing. And then now participating on our virtual networking functions that we host multiple days throughout the week.
So that kind of brings me to, so I know you guys are kind of addressing the needs of your current and potential customers differently now. And just, I know you guys keep using the word empathy, listening.
Yes.
This is not necessarily your traditional sales moment. So is there any strategy or technique that you have used during this time that you found to be successful in building that pipeline? And I'm going to go back to Greg for this answer, because I think you talked, Kia, you slowly talked a little bit about what we're doing as a chamber for member retention and these virtual events. Greg, is there anything that you guys have been specifically done to change your technique or strategy to help build that pipeline? Is it anything successful that you're seeing has worked?
Well, things like this, right? We're spending more time educating the consumer, the business consumer, and not so much pitching. That is just it's a slight tweak, but it makes all the difference, in the world. Now, when it comes to brass tacks sales, yeah, it means you're doing 3 times the work and probably to get a fraction of the return that you're used to. So what we have done, actually at our company, I think it's been really, really successful, is we have a call every morning. So this is more internal, what's motivating the company. We have a call, we'll call it a stand-up or a roundup in the morning, just to get everybody level set, get everybody ready, as though we were in the office. And then we have our goals that we're setting jointly with management for the day. And then oftentimes we're having a roundup at the end of the day. Okay, what'd your day look like? What were some successes? Where did you struggle? What's tomorrow look like? It makes it so we're not just like aimlessly wandering around, which the possibility is there. Many salespeople thrive on the interaction with people. Right now, you have no choice but to be the rainmaker, right? It's not coming to you. You've got to go get it. So for me, having a very tangible goal, today I'm making X number of calls. I'm sending X number of emails. So if I didn't do it, I know I've fallen short and, may pay the price down the road. But it feels so good when you set that goal. And at the end of the day, you look at your numbers, you're like, check, I did it.
That's right.
So it's just bringing that it's bringing that finish line. So I run. So it's almost, we've taken a race that was like a 5K and turned it into a marathon. So by breaking it up into smaller pieces, it makes it much more tangible. And it's like you get those little wins along the way. And ultimately you do cross the finish line and you win the race. Sorry, it's kind of a goofy analogy, but you know.
No, it's great. I think the visualization of that is perfect. And I know obviously the Emerging Enterprise Center has worked with you on many of these kind of virtual calls and educational resources that we're kind of putting out to our members in the local community for free, if not a very small amount. But right now we're doing these Facebook Live, which is great. Kia, is there anything you wanted to add about, you know, the chamber, what you're seeing, what we're doing, what strategies that you see are working, any feedback you're receiving?
Well, as I said a little bit earlier, people are trying to hold monies close, but folks are joining the chamber. It's just not at the pace that, of course, we would like it. Yes, I would love to hit my monthly revenue goal, but it's not there right now. But I still have to lay the seeds to cultivate the pipeline for in the future. But to Greg's point, when you're setting up daily goals for yourself and you reach them, if you notice, I was right there with him because it's the way that we're wired to go out and get it. So like I said, if it's 25, 50 calls, 1 sheet or 2 sheets of paper that you're going to call through, and when you do it at the end of the day, like, boom, I accomplished something for that day. It may not have been the sale, but it's the activity that's needed to be in place to build. The other thing, since we are now pivoting and on the telephones more, I find that when I'm speaking with a customer, I have 2 devices going at one time. I've got my laptop going, I've got my iPad on my personal computer to where I can go look up the company real quick and see what it is they're doing so I can better relate when I'm talking with them about in that particular conversation. The other thing is I keep their name in front of me. I make it a point to speak this particular client's name or prospect multiple times throughout the call. Hey, Bob, it's good talking with you today. Thank you for your time, Bob. Hey, Bob, I'm going to send you that information in 30 days. Bob, what do you think about this? Oh, I understand, Bob, what you're saying. I do see your point. Hey, Bob, thank you for talking with me today. Hey, and I look forward to talking to you in 30 days. Bob, have a good day. Bye-bye.
It's almost like an episode of Bob Newhart show.
Exactly.
There was a drinking game associated with that a while back.
But the point of it is you have now personalized yourself with the call because, again, no one wants to be telemarketed. No one wants an automated call. People tend to listen more when it is a live voice, but you want to put the human in it. You want to put the humanistic approach in your voice. I always recommend that and I do this myself, I practice how I sound. Before I hit send on that recorded message, I play it back. Wow, let me say it this way. Let me listen to the way my voice is inflecting through that message. What does my customer hear when we're talking live? If I'm smiling while I'm speaking to you on the phone, guess what? You as that prospect on the other line, you can hear it and you can hear that energy in my voice. So the same way that I speak with my hands, the same way I smile, it's the same way I'm making cold calls, telemarketing, it's the same. So it may not yield the fruit right now, but it will in the future.
So going back to like a little bit of a recap of what you guys said, you guys have your daily routines.
Yes.
You're trying to keep normalcy. I know our office too, like Greg said, we still have the morning stand-up meetings. We have kind of like a daily recap that we send to Bob Chadwick, who is the president of the chamber. I feel like as a team, we're all really kind of, we're using Microsoft Teams to kind of feel like we're still in the office together. And Zoom for a lot of our external communication. We're really using that education. We're highlighting what our members are doing. Is there anything, Greg, that you're seeing from, I know you guys are an IT staffing firm here in Delaware. Is there anything you're seeing from the, your companies that your partners or companies that you work with? Is there anything you're doing with them to kind of cultivate that relationship and keep a little bit of normalcy during this time?
Yeah, and it's heavy, more so than usual phone work. It's to try to connect with people. And unfortunately, one of the challenges there is, voicemail jail. It happens. But it's still a touch point, right? You're still given an opportunity to leave a message, be genuine, be authentic, leave a quick message, say, hey, I'm just reaching out, just seeing how you're doing. See, if there's anything we can do to help out, let us know. Give me a shout. Here's my number. And then I follow that up with an email. And then I would say, not every time, but maybe 60% of the time, I get an email back. Right? If I just sent the email cold, I probably wouldn't get as good of a response. And again, it's just those it's like dropping breadcrumbs, and it's investing in that relationship. I am not seeing, quite frankly, I'm not seeing the business just like pour in, right, as a result of these efforts. But my expectation is more realistic than that. We know that it's going to take a little bit more hand-holding and patience and empathy than it normally would. The beautiful thing is we all, for the first time in my life, humankind has a common enemy. I mean, we've never been in that I can recall that situation. You know, the last pandemic was in 1918, I think. So this is a rare time when we can all relate to something. And I find myself, you know, I'm calling across wherever, across town, across country, whoever you're talking to, we all have the same message right now. And it's really easy to help to relate to people that way.
Exactly. He said breadcrumbs. I use spaghetti. But
you're stuck on spaghetti.
Hey,
I get it. It makes perfect sense.
On the wall, eventually it'll stick. But to Greg's point, when you're talking about email, also look at yourself as a brand. Anything that you send out to your client should have your contact information on it. Your email should have your signature where it's got your name, it's got your office number, your cell number, your company logo, the hyperlink to your website, your email address, so that when someone gets it, they can reply. Because again, there's sometimes you're just sending out to cold prospects information that's relevant to them, and those breadcrumbs and that spaghetti, sometimes people do respond overnight via email. I've had that, and Greg has had as well. And you're like, oh wow, somebody got back to me. I've had somebody from out of the country that's looking to do some business here, and the time change. This is how they replied back. I know prospecting on other social media avenues like LinkedIn, Alignable, and you know, each month you get so many emails that you can send out to contact individuals. So I figure out how many characters I have, and I back up and I count out the characters, and I give them just a brief bullet of what my business is, my offering is, and I apply it. Hey, let's become friends. But I've given them a little bit about what it is that I do here at the chamber, and anyone can do the same thing for their business and send that out so that that person will pick up and say, hey, yeah, I'll friend you, and let's continue to talk.
So
You know, I think that's a great point. I'm sorry, Elise. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. One of the things I was going to say is a little bit of how we have changed. I know that the chamber has really made some adjustments, obviously, through this time. And we've also we have put in a little bit of an introductory offer for new members to kind of sweeten the ask a little bit. That's another way of not devaluing, but adding value to our customer who might want to come on as a member.
I could speak to that real quick, but it's not that you have to offer incentives, discounts, and promotions, because if you set yourself up in the product and the service that you're offering to your client, people will buy it regardless of the price. No, you don't want to cheapen yourself or cheapen your product or your service. But sometimes, especially at a time like this, you may have to have some type of promotional incentive to kind of push the person over the edge to join or to purchase. We've had a couple of clients like that where we provided them with a banner ad for 30 days on our website and an enhanced directory. And it was just enough to kind of push them over the edge because they're trying to get on the front side of the recovery efforts as businesses begin to open up. There's still others that are reluctant. We understand that. But overall, we have not had to reduce the pricing structure for the member chambership. We've compensated in another type of way with the advertisement. But overall, even if this was a normal time, you still want to sell the value of your product of your service. But you need to understand what the need is for that customer. You got to understand what their situation is and what are some of the problems and the implications of what it is that they're dealing with, and then providing them a needs payoff. We call that spin from when I started with Xerox out of undergrad. But even with that, again, you want to understand what the customer's needs are, because they may not be in a buying mode at this time, and understand why. Many of us, we're finding, because of the uncertainty and trying to hold on to cash, they hold off. But then there's others who are looking to get back, and they're beginning to reach out.
So this kind of really goes well into the next question that I had for both of you. What are you learning during this time? You know, Kia, you just said you've been in sales. You've had a career where you've had a lot of sales experience. Greg, I personally don't know your background fully, but you know,
it's sorted.
Sorted. I'm assuming that this moment, like, you know, it's so different. And you'd mentioned this before. Is there anything that you're learning during this moment you're going to carry through to the next, as we kind of go into this recovery phase and whatever the next few years looks like for businesses and your business?
Patience.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's something that really does not come naturally.
Yeah.
You know, it's just being resilient, willing to change and pivot, without really sacrificing what you're all about, and just trying to find and then don't be afraid to rely on people. You know, if you get stuck, and I had a friend of mine actually reach out to me and said, hey, I heard that, and this is going back weeks, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. He said, I read something that said that this time is going to be really difficult for introverts. So how are you doing? And it kind of made me laugh a little bit, because I don't necessarily, you know, we don't really necessarily label ourselves introvert, extrovert, but I guess other people do. And it made me realize that, yeah, this is a challenge, right? We're going to have to really, if you thrive on people, as I said when we first started, if you get the energy from people, you've really got to dig deep, because it's just not coming naturally right now. I mean, even when you walk out, I feel offended. I walk down the sidewalk, somebody literally walks around I'm like, my goodness, it makes you feel like dirty. I don't know, but it's just the way it is right now. Everyone's trying to keep their distance, and I totally get it, but you just, it's just not natural. It doesn't feel natural right now, and it's a little bit, takes us all out of our comfort zone. So back to the answer to that question is, what am I learning and to do differently, is just to be more patient with the customer as well as myself.
Right. To Greg's point, I 100% concur with what Greg stated. It's that patience, resiliency. I haven't been out Monday through Friday. I don't go out of the house until the weekends. And just because I'm a sales professional, I got to speak to somebody. I'm at Home Depot. Hey, how you doing today? I just have to do that. And they're looking at you like, I've got my mask on, but I need to be able to speak. How you doing? Start up a conversation just to see, do I still have it? Yes, I do. Because
yes, you do, Kia.
Taking the time just to speak to a person, you can see them smiling in their mask. They begin talking, because you're kind of like in this tunnel that I'm going on to my routine and then go back into my house. And working the telephones is the same way. I'm going to encourage that person to have a conversation with me. They may not be buying anything, but guess what? We're going to have fun on this telephone call for the day, because I don't want to do it and they didn't want to hear from me. But guess what? It's going to work for us today.
So then kind of going into, before we kind of wrap up and kind of go into our key takeaways from today, I feel like we talked about a lot of different things, and I feel like I really wish the Facebook Live had worked, because I feel like there's a lot of small businesses that are looking for, you know, just real advice. What's worked, what's not worked, what are we seeing? How can we pivot? How can we do this pivoting together? I know the fact that Brandywine and the Chamber, you know, have partnered during this time to put out some really great content for our audience is a testament to what we're doing, and how we're coming together. I want to know what advice or where do you see business going next? Where do you see this recovery looking like? What does sales look like? What advice would you give for that this next moment as we kind of come out of, coming out of our homes and back into a little bit more of a normal routine?
Kia, you want to start?
I would say as we begin to accelerate business growth and business recovery, then the growth, I would say still continue to do your day-to-day activities to build your pipeline. It may not yield a transaction right now, but eventually will. And I go away with, just look at it, I'm going to make a customer and not necessarily a sale, and be okay with that. Yes, we want the transaction, but being realistic, it just may not come. But never put yourself to where you're becoming cross at one of your potential customers on the line. It may not just be able to happen for them at this time. So have that patience, because eventually it will turn around. But if you have become cross and found yourself arguing with someone, then you have really damaged your credibility sometime later. So just take a different approach and just look at it. I'm here to educate you at this point and cultivate a relationship versus closing for a transaction. That customer will eventually come. Just be patient.
So, there's a quote I read yesterday, and I have to share it. It's very quick. It's a Paul Harvey quote, and everything Paul Harvey said was great. It said, in times like these, it's important to remember that there have always been times like these. And I think that when we first started down this path, everybody had this like stress in them, not knowing that it was just the not knowing. It's, when we got the word from the governor that businesses were going to be closed until May 15th, and this is like, I don't know, that was over a month out.
Yep.
People were like, what? But then the realization was, guess what? It may go beyond that. And then that's when people really started to get depressed, right? Because of the unknown. But it's true. We know now we're starting to feel, at least I am, and I'm a ridiculous optimist, but I do feel like there's daylight at the end of the tunnel. So when I'm having conversations with people, it's not about it started out, well, how are things right now? The conversation now turning into, how's it looking? What are your plans? If you look out 30 days, what are you going to be doing? What can we do today to help you hit the ground running as soon as you do get that green light? Because that green light's coming.
Yes, it is.
That's great. So I'm going to share kind of I want to just kind of wrap this conversation up. And we can, as we're touching on these takeaways, if there's anything you guys want to add or reiterate, please feel free to do it. I'm just going to kind of throw up some of the main takeaways from today's discussion, so everyone can kind of see them let me share my screen. Give me 1 second.
Real recorded time.
Yes. So I'm going to actually just throw this to the first 3 points. Kia, if you want to just, jump in there and speak on the first 3 takeaways. Greg, feel free to jump in. And then Greg, if you want to take the last 4, I'll let you guys kind of touch back on the takeaways from today.
Sure. It's the same as we spoke of earlier. Develop a daily routine. I mean, if you were a person that started your day with going to the gym, putting your kids on the bus stop, having breakfast and getting started at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, still keep up with your routine. Because the weather is changing, and hopefully with the additional sunlight, people are beginning to feel a little bit more energy, a little bit more positivity, and can get focused. You've got a routine and you've laid out a plan of how many calls you're going to make, who you're going to target, whether if it's existing customers or non-customer prospects or whatever. Do that. Then record that information on your spreadsheet or your contact relationship manager so that you can follow up and see what your results are for the day, for the week, and roll it up for a monthly basis. Because you never want to be accused that you're not working. So that's why you want to be able to track. And then even for yourself, you can really measure, hey, I did X, Y, and Z as far as laying those seeds for the future. Again, that goes into your short-term goals and your measurable goals, because that's what all of this is doing with your overall plan. And then focus on your target industries. Who are you going to call today? Are you working with accountants, realtors, insurance brokers, plumbers? And then you stay focused on that. You don't want to bounce back and forth, because then you're not being productive. So that's why we're saying, when you're setting up that plan, stay with it. And if you've got to have a couple of sheets out in front of you or a couple of reminders, then that's what you need to do. If you just can't put it up in your head. But if you've got a plan, plan the work you plan, and eventually you'll yield those results.
So to jump in before Greg starts, one, as Kia's colleague, I just wanted to say that every morning as we go on to our calls, talk about daily routine, she joins us every morning in her business suit, her beautiful necklace, and her earrings every day, which I can say a few of our members of the team have not kept up with that. And then two, as someone who's not in the sales industry every day, I just want to touch a little bit on this targeted industries. How you guys, I know we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, how you guys kind of figure out what target industries you want to focus on. Is there anything you've been using to help you?
Well, we use our database. We use Chamber Master as ours. Others may have some other type of CRM, contact relationship manager. I look at those industries that are actually considered essential and that are conducting business now to target them initially. Then as the time wears down, then I may refocus and put my efforts in those who are getting ready to come on board as of May 8th. Our salons, barbers, and other type of retailers. So you kind of have to pay attention what's going on in your local area, and then be flexible enough to adjust.
Is there any creative ways you've used to target them? Obviously you can't, I mean, no one's really in their offices or going to meetings that you might meet them. Is there any specific creative ways that both Greg or Kia you've used to try to get in front, aside from just cold calling these industries or individuals in the industries?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. So I can't believe I made it in almost an entire, half hour or 45 minutes without saying LinkedIn, because that is usually on the tip of my tongue.
You said it.
I got it now. So it's definitely one of those tools that you should be, it's part of to me, it's like the three-legged stool, right? You have your phone calls, you have your emails, but then if you can also reach out through LinkedIn, I mean, that also for a sales professional, look, many sales professionals bounce around. They go from place to place to place. That you're building your network. That network goes with you. Those hundreds or thousands of people that you're connecting with, if you invest in them, if you connect and go away, they're basically you haven't invested in them, and they're really not going to be of value from a professional standpoint. You have to continue to invest in them. But that is a great tool. It's a great way to target. So what I will go in using the filters, and I'll say, I've done this most recently. All right, I know my customers, my IT customers right here in this region. I want to spread it out a little bit. So I'm going to go into Philadelphia. I'm going to pick IT service providers, and let's see what comes back. Then I now have a list of people that I can approach. And it's a real easy message today. I know you are you're going in overdrive. I know you need help. I can help you. Here's what we've done for our other providers. Does it make sense for us to connect right now? It's a real soft sell. It's much more about what can we do. It's seeing it through their lens as opposed to mine. I mean, it's always going to be more important. One other plug. I always do MBNA. I worked at MBNA for 10 years. And one of their slogans was think of yourself as a customer. I mean, that's true, but what you always have to do, not just today, but always in sales. And LinkedIn certainly is a tool that is invaluable. And you know what? You don't even have to pay for it. The free version works just fine.
Yeah.
Anything else, Kia?
Well, as Greg was saying, you have LinkedIn. There's some other social media platforms also to become affiliated with. I recently discovered Alignable. So I've been prospecting through that.
I'm curious, how is that working out for you? Because I've seen it, but I've no personal experience. I'm just curious.
It's very similar to LinkedIn. LinkedIn gives you a little bit more where you can step out and target your region, your state, general area, Mid-Atlantic, et cetera. Alignable is just that it's more, locally based, so you can really pinpoint it. So it's somewhat similar to that of LinkedIn, where you can reach out and send in an inbox email to an individual. Some people, depending on the nature of your business, can find success with Instagram Live, where I know a couple of our videographers have been conducting minuet videos, and some of our chamber members have been participating. There's also, of course, Facebook. So wherever you can find a gathering of individuals, suck it up and toughen up to say, I'm going to reach out and start calling on some of these folks cold and to see what I got. There's a client that we at the chamber, we've been looking to have them to become affiliated for some time now, prior to my tenure. So I said, okay, I'm going to reach out to him on LinkedIn. And guess what? I inboxed him. He responded. So now we've been able to communicate back and forth. So those are just some of the things that you just have to take a deep breath and just dive in and try to reach out and find additional avenues to source out prospective clients.
Well, I think the key is, and you pretty much touched on this key, is know where your audience is. There are all these different tools that you can use. Is your audience on Facebook? Or are they on LinkedIn? Or are they on Instagram? Because I can tell you, I'm not going to Instagram from my target customers. And we do very, very little Facebook. LinkedIn is where my audience plays. So that's where I'm focusing my efforts.
Exactly. We had a recent member that came on a couple of weeks ago. She's in a cosmetology hair salon where they actually have an e-store. So something like Instagram was excellent for them. Our retention director, Yvonne Detweiler, she participated on an Instagram Live video talk show, if you will, and was able to source out this particular client. So like you said, you have to know your audience and where they are, and then target your business services to that audience and what your audience social media preference is. Absolutely.
Wonderful. And so, Greg, if you want to just jump in for that last 4 bullets, just to kind of reiterate our takeaways from today.
Sure. I mean, right now is about building the relationship, not closing the sale. It comes from empathy, and it comes from authentic, true empathy, not walking through the motions, because guess what? People will sniff it out a mile away. That's right. And when you're genuine, when you're authentic, and you really do care, it will absolutely, bear results. Maybe not right away, but down the road, and you're building that trust bank. This is an opportunity to use these tools like we're doing right now to build yourself, build your credibility in the space without asking for a sale, where you're educating that really gives you an opportunity to educate the masses, right? These tools are certainly democratizing, where everybody has access to them, and you can get access to a much larger audience than you would normally be able to access. And right now, more than ever, people are stuck at their computers. They're stuck sitting here staring at a screen. Why not take advantage of that? Why not get in front of them and establish yourself as that resident expert in whatever it is that you have your expertise?
Right, exactly. To Greg's point, because the people are stuck, and social media, email, great. I had a prospective client, they're not a member yet. And hopefully she will become a member of their architect firm. We had another prospective client to engage us in a virtual meeting to enlighten us and share with them about the nature of their business and the services that they provide. And so I took their information and I bounced it by a couple of members. One was a builder, one was an architect, one's a member, one isn't. But guess what? The one who isn't a member saw that I valued her opinion about another business, and she has been receiving information about SBA loans and PPP and other pertinent things relevant to her industry and government affairs. When things get back, she's going to become a member because I valued her opinion, and she's not even a member right now. So that's why I'm saying, use this time to be a resource and educate individuals, Bounce by them what their thoughts are. Ask them. I spoke with a prospect yesterday about becoming a member and the nature of their service. I said, I tell you what, tell to me more about your service, because that may be something that my family and I may need during the summer months. And she shared with me about the services, how it can keep down mosquitoes. So in looking at the next 60, 90 days, it's very possible that we may not be vacationing, but this client service may be of some value to me and my family. And guess what? Because I gave her the chance to pitch me, and it was very genuine because I'm thinking about this mosquito service, she may in turn become my client as well. So that's why I'm saying, when you're talking about valuing that individual and taking the time to listen to what it is that they have to say and offer, it may be something that you can be a benefit from, or you may be able to refer their service to someone else that you know.
Wonderful. And one of our social media things that we've been doing is really highlighting members that have been making a difference in the community. And I think past sales and everyone has kind of had to really pivot. I think it's been really amazing to see how our community has come together and really added value to each other during this time and helped each other, and made this moment, a hard, really challenging moment, a little bit better and more heartwarming as a community. So I really appreciate you guys kind of sticking with us. I know that the Facebook Live did not work, and we will still share this on our Facebook channel. And I appreciate both of your valuable input. For those who are watching the video and would like to get more information about the Newcastle County Chamber of Commerce or the Emerging Enterprise Center, you guys can go to nccc.com, and then Brandywine Technology, who has been such a generous resource partner to us during this time. They're at brandywine.com, and Greg is obviously on LinkedIn if you want to connect with him personally.
BrandywineTechnology.com.
Brandywinetechnology.com. Sorry. Don't
That's
go
okay.
to Brandywinetechnology.com. They're going to be also in all of the comments and tagged and everything that we've done with this post. So please make sure, if you're looking for IT services, to join them or to look at their website. And then next Thursday, Greg and I are going to be doing, with Bob, are doing an IT panel on why outsource your IT services or your support. And for small businesses or local businesses who really need IT support or help, but really don't maybe want the expense of having an internal team to do all of their network or any kind of software or any kind of information technology services that they need. We're going to have a group of local IT service providers, My Sherpa, Info Technology Inc., and Sigma Data System.
Tech Solutions is the middle one. Yes.
Sorry, Info.
That's another one.
One of our EC clients. So Tech Solutions. They're going to be on a call with us next Thursday, and hopefully Facebook Live will be working. And if you want to tune in to hear what services they provide, how they can be supporting your business, and kind of providing you with that really the IT expertise without the cost of having an internal IT team, is really important, and something you should probably just become aware of and get to meet our local companies. So that will be next Thursday with Greg as well. So again, thank you both. And then this will be shared on our social media channels, and I hope you guys share it to your social media channels. And we appreciate your time. And
Thanks for the opportunity. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Exactly. Thank you.